Do you cook with canned produce or consider it only when fresh isn't available? Today on Food Journey, we're creating recipes inspired by canned produce. We'll see how it compares to fresh and whether it's economically viable. Canning is a food preservation method where food is processed and sealed in airtight tins and can last for 1 to 5 years in most cases. Apart from the obvious convenience, they have comparable nutrients to fresh or frozen varieties of food and cut down on prep time and waste. Canning also reduces chances of contamination, which can cause illness. Hello and welcome to the kitchen. We are about to make some hummus, everyone, and I'm really excited because I love it so much. We're finding it a lot on the menus across Nigeria in restaurants that you may visit, and it is really not too difficult to make. But the first thing we're going to do is talk about the chickpeas, which is the main ingredient, look at the other ingredients, and find out where hummus actually comes from. Chickpeas are the star for this dish, a Middle Eastern recipe really, which is made to be shared amidst a spread of other fingerlicious delicacies. You can boil them from dried, but it takes some time, and today we're using a cooked and pureed version, natural, with no added salt. Okay, let's do this hummus. Starting off with some chickpeas. I'm just opening them up like so. And you can see that it's all really blended. Nothing else in here but blended chickpea. So just get that out. There we go. That's all out. It looks kind of caked up, but it really is going to get very smooth in a minute. What else do we need? We need some tahine. This is sesame paste. Sesame paste, everybody, and it's quite thick. I'm going to use my own visual to put in 2 tablespoons. That should do it. If you like a little bit more tahine, put a little bit more in, no worries. Olive oil, we need quite a bit of that. 3 tablespoons going in right there. And the next thing, peel some of this beautiful local garlic, which I always love because it's very potent. How many of these? I'm going to make it garlicky because I like it garlicky and put in maybe about 4 of these. Okay? We need lime. Lots of it. I like to take off the cheeks, like so. Kind of avoids a lot of the major seeds in the middle when you do it this way. And you can still use this part, so you can knock out your seeds easy like that. See? And just keep all of that to the side. Same thing. These are small limes today. Small and cute. So you see these little tops here, this is that part and that part of the lime, which we need to just to maximize all the juice, getting all the juice out, that's all. And then these little bits you just keep. Ready? So squeezing time. Take your time and just squeeze each lime. Squeeze it really well. Today I will be adding flavor to the unseasoned chickpea puree, chili, cumin, and paprika as a garnish. Cumin, I love that. It really lifts the flavor of the hummus. So I've got about 2 teaspoons in there. Some pepper, because I always like it hot. Not everybody does, so not too much. That's it. And then, of course, we need some salt. Less is more, everybody. So start off smaller. The only thing left to do now is give this a beautiful mix. Like so. Starting to look hummusy. Now if you don't like it very thick, you can just loosen it up a bit with some more olive oil, which is what I'm going to do. Another good tablespoon in there, just to loosen things up. That's better. That's the consistency that I like. Give it a good mix to make sure that things don't just stay on one side. Whip it up. And taste it. Loving that. Beautiful. Yes. Now that we've made that beautiful hummus, I'm just taking a second to talk to you about the importance of decoration. Hummus is a beautiful food served in a platter form. So what we're going to do is decorate up a lovely plate. It's really important to make sure that your guests enjoy the visual experience as well as the tasting experience, isn't it? Because our chickpea base needs flavors which enhance its neutrality, we're having onions sliced for different textures on the plate, and some cooling cucumber too, sliced very carefully to counter the spiciness. And let's not forget tomato, slicing these bite-sized and adding the indigenous cherry tomato variety too for some eye candy. These are canned vegetable pickles. They are preserved in vinegar and spices and add a sour, crunchy level within the hummus flavor experience. It's time to decorate a beautiful plate, starting off with the seasoned chickpea paste. You want to pile it high and central so that we can create the necessary well in the middle. Spreading it out in a circle, and then let your creativity and imagination do the rest. And here it is, an easy way to create fun with a can of chickpea. Call a couple of friends over to help you devour this one with pita or your favorite bread. Our next recipe uses several canned items and some familiar base ingredients to create a hearty and cleverly presented family meal, which is colorful and, best of all, tasty. I think because we're using multiple cans for this recipe, it's important for us to look at what we're using, how it actually tastes, and most important, this little bit of information on the back of the can. Let's find out what that means. We're using red kidney beans, mushrooms in brine, plum chopped tomatoes, canned mixed vegetables, and canned black beans. The nutritional facts on the back of cans and most food packages tell you about quantities and serving sizes as it relates to calories, amounts of fats, sodium, cholesterol, carbohydrates, fiber, protein, sugar, and even vitamins. Details which allow you to make an informed decision about consuming one product or another. When I tasted the individual contents, the kidney beans were well cooked, tasty, and they sit in an unsalted liquid. Next, these mushrooms, slightly salty as they are preserved in brine. And the tomatoes are sweet and tart. And the canning makes the valuable lycopene in the tomatoes readily absorbed by the body. The canned veg has a variety: carrots, beans, potatoes, and even corn. They're soft and tasty enough, again in brine. The unsalted variety are available. And the black beans emerging from the dark, slightly gelatinous but salt-free liquid are cooked and fairly bland tasting. We are prepping some beautiful sweet capsicums, by cutting off the top halves, removing the seeds, and in a steamer pre-steaming so that the peppers have a slightly softer feel before they're now put into the grill. I'm draining the fluid from every can except the mushrooms. The briny accompanying liquid will be part of our salty element. We'll cut up these button mushrooms now, which are going to add an umami feel along with our beef mince. I've got my cast iron pot here with 2 tablespoons of oil. Onions have been chopped and pepper with seeds. Pinch of salt. And let's just get these going. My goodness, that pepper is strong. I can feel it. In with our meat. That's almost a kilo. 3/4 of a kilo. I always like to let it get a little brown on one side before I flip it. Let's put in the most woody spice first, and that's thyme. I always like being generous with thyme. Maybe that's the West Indian in me. One more. And a little garlic powder. Time to give this a stir. You want to kind of get the onion and the pepper incorporated within that meat. So I'm breaking it up just a tiny little bit to ensure that. There we go. Now that this is colored up a little bit, it's time to add our other spices. I have pepper in this, so just a little bit of that. Some curry, love that. Paprika, I want a lot. Okay. And some turmeric. In that goes. 'Cause it's good for you. Give that a little bit of a stir. Changing color now a little bit more, isn't it? And let's put in our tomato paste. A good 2 heaped tablespoons. Because this is chili and it's supposed to have a little bit of thickness to it and not just be runny. See how that's all changing color? I'm really looking far more inviting as a base. So we'll let that go for a minute and come back. Time for our 2 types of beans to go in. Look at that. Colorful and nice. Starting to look more like a chili now, isn't it? And how about adding in our tomato now, which I pureed. This is the water from the mushrooms. This is going to be our liquid. Looking more and more like a chili. Lovely. Now we'll put the last vegetables in, starting with the mushrooms and the mixed veg. It's all coming together now, like it was designed to. A bit of soy for an elevation, and a little parsley to freshen further right at the end. And then it's time to switch it off. We are stuffing these steamed peppers with our chili sauce. And then we're going to top it off with cheddar cheese. Grate a decent amount. I always say you can't have too much. Right everyone, we're stacking it up. I love this cast iron pot with its handle, so great for hanging over fire. What am I going to do that's clever today? I'm using some couscous, and that's going to go with the base of our peppers, stuffed with the beautiful chili and topped with cheddar cheese. So here we go. These are the finished stuffed peppers, and when serving them, I decided to make a show of it, dressing up a black slate plate with color and a little bulk. We love this canned recipe, and I hope you'll try it too. Surprisingly, canned fresh produce is picked at its optimal ripeness and packed within 24 hours of picking. Fresh produce, on the other hand, has to travel longer distances for distribution and is picked unripe, so it can ripen on the displays in the supermarkets. In our last recipe, we'll use a good old can of tuna to whip up a delicious snack with everyday items from your pantry. This is such an easy one. I'm using chunk tuna in water so I don't get that salt. Let's just open it up and just drain it. So, coming over here and drain out the water. Left with lovely chunk tuna. That's what we want. Just adding a little bit of spring onion to this mix. It's actually a Korean pancake inspired recipe. I think this is about enough. And I'm adding a tiny little bit of onion. Look, just taking that bit there and slicing it down a little and then chopping it small. There we go. Some garlic. Give that a smash. And then one way and the other. Mind your fingers. There we go. Pepper. Love that. A little of that. And chop the other way. It's probably going to show some nice red flecks all throughout this stunning little pancake. So, just that. And then we're going to grate the carrots. A little vegetable to beef it out a bit. About 2 heaped tablespoons. Let's see. Yeah, that's about enough. Done. Okay, let's put in our lovely other stuff. Smells really good. That's done. We need some eggs. Cracking them separately. Beautiful. 1. Second one. Lovely. Make sure you haven't got any shell. And just break your tuna up in there with all these lovely ingredients. We need about 2 heaped tablespoons of flour, and we need some black pepper, and we need a little salt. Okay, all we do now is a lovely mix. And you see that's all coming together really nicely and looking yummy. Perfect consistency, and all we do now is gently fry that. These are done. And I've made a little dipping sauce, 1-to-1, vinegar and soy, with a sprinkle of chili. Well, 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 everybody. I have to try these. They're hot and good. So let's use a bit of a chopstick, shall we? And just try one of these. Dipping sauce. Tuna pancake, cheers. That sauce. This is divine, everyone. Look at all we made with our can selection today. Amazing! Do try this at home. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye! Food Journey has a new Instagram. It's FOODJERNY @Food Journey. So if you were following us before, please come and follow us here now.